Someone attacks your character, a relationship ends badly, you lose something you worked years to build. And while everyone around you expects you to fall apart, you remain steady, not cold, not unfeeling, just unshaken. This isn't a superpower you're born with. It's the result of 5 specific practices that the ancient Stoics refined over centuries. Marcus Aurelius faced plague, war and betrayal. Epictetus survived slavery. Seneca navigated the treacherous politics of Rome. Yet they all maintained what they called ataraxia, inner tranquility that external chaos couldn't disturb. Today I'm going to show you the 5 daily habits that created this unshakable foundation. These aren't philosophical theories, they're practical disciplines you can start building today. Habit 1. Morning premeditation. Every morning before the Stoics engaged with the world, they practiced something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. This isn't pessimism, it's strategic preparation. Seneca wrote, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Here's how it works. Take 5 minutes each morning and mentally rehearse difficulties you might face that day. Not catastrophes, realistic challenges. Maybe someone will criticize your work. Maybe a project will hit an obstacle. Maybe someone you trust will disappoint you. See these scenarios clearly in your mind. Feel the initial sting. Then practice your response. You pause, you breathe. You remember that external events don't control your inner state. You respond from principle, not from emotional reaction. 2 years ago, I started doing this before important meetings. I'd visualize someone challenging my ideas aggressively. I'd imagine technical problems derailing my presentation, and I'd mentally practice staying centered through each scenario. The remarkable thing, when these situations actually happened, and they did, I wasn't caught off guard. My nervous system had already processed them. The shock was gone. I responded with clarity instead of panic. This is why emotionally untouchable people rarely seem surprised by difficulties. They've already been there mentally. They've already decided how they'll respond. The untrained mind reacts with shock to every setback, because each one feels unprecedented. The trained Stoic mind stays calm, because nothing is truly unexpected. You've rehearsed this. You know what you'll do. Start tomorrow morning. 5 minutes, 3 potential difficulties. Your Stoic response to each. That's all it takes. Habit 2. The dichotomy of control. This is the most foundational Stoic practice, and it's deceptively simple. Epictetus taught, some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. Every situation you face falls into one of 2 categories, what you control and what you don't. Here's the habit. Throughout your day, whenever something disturbs you, immediately ask, is this within my control? Your colleague spreads rumors about you. Not in your control. How you respond. Completely in your control. You don't get the promotion. Not in your control. How you handle disappointment and what you do next. Your control entirely. Someone rejects you. Not in your control. How you interpret that rejection and what it means about your worth. Fully your control. I practice this dozens of times daily now. Traffic delays me. First thought, not in my control. Then my response is in my control. The frustration dissolves before it takes root. Here's what makes this habit transformative. Most emotional suffering comes from trying to control things you can't control and neglecting things you can. You exhaust yourself trying to change someone's opinion of you. Impossible. Meanwhile, you neglect developing your actual character. Completely possible. You worry about outcomes outside your control. You ignore your effort and preparation entirely within your control. The emotionally untouchable person has made peace with this dichotomy. They invest their energy exclusively in what they can actually influence. Everything else, they acknowledge it, accept it, and let it go. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That realization doesn't come once, it comes repeatedly. Every time you catch yourself trying to control the uncontrollable and redirect that energy toward what actually matters. Habit 3. Evening retrospection. The Stoics didn't just prepare in the morning, they reviewed at night. Seneca described his evening practice. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. This isn't about self-punishment, it's honest self-assessment. Every evening, ask yourself 3 questions. Where did I act according to my principles today? Acknowledge your wins. Reinforce behaviors you want to continue. Where did I fall short? Identify moments you reacted instead of responded. No judgment, just observation. What will I do differently tomorrow? Choose one specific behavior to improve. I do this for 10 minutes before bed. Some nights, I'm proud of how I handled difficult situations. Other nights, I see clearly where fear or anger controlled me instead of reason. Last week, I snapped at someone who interrupted me during a stressful moment. Evening review showed me exactly where I abandoned my principles. Not to feel guilty, but to prepare. Next time that stress appears, I know my vulnerable point. I can guard it. This practice does something powerful. It closes the feedback loop. Without reflection, you repeat the same emotional reactions for years. With it, you spot patterns. You see your growth. You adjust course. The emotionally untouchable person isn't someone who never makes mistakes. They're someone who learns from every mistake and rarely makes the same one twice. Marcus Aurelius kept a journal for this exact purpose. His meditations weren't meant for publication. They were his evening reflections, examining his responses to the day's challenges. If daily review worked for an emperor ruling the ancient world's greatest power, it can work for you. Habit 4. Voluntary discomfort. This habit sounds strange to modern ears, but it's essential to emotional resilience. The Stoics regularly practiced voluntary discomfort. Seneca would sleep on a hard floor occasionally. Marcus Aurelius would wear simple clothing. Epictetus taught students to endure cold and hunger deliberately. Why? To prove to themselves that discomfort couldn't break them. Seneca explained, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare. Do this so that you may not be doing it under compulsion, but rather to test yourself." Modern application looks different, but the principle remains the same. Take cold showers, fast occasionally, sit with boredom instead of immediately reaching for your phone. Say no to comfort when comfort isn't necessary. I practice this weekly. One day I'll skip coffee even though I want it. Another day I'll deliberately choose the harder workout. Not punishment practice. Here's why this builds emotional untouchability. Most people's happiness is incredibly fragile because it depends on constant comfort. Remove their usual comforts and they fall apart. The person who regularly practices discomfort discovers something liberating. Discomfort isn't dangerous. It's just uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable is tolerable. When you know you can handle discomfort, sudden changes don't devastate you. Lost your usual routine. You've practiced disruption. Financial setback means cutting luxuries. You've already proven you don't need them for contentment. The Stoics called this negative visualization in practice form. You're not just imagining loss, you're temporarily experiencing it and proving to yourself that you remain intact. This isn't about becoming ascetic or rejecting pleasure. It's about making your well-being independent of external comfort. Enjoy luxury when it's present. Remain steady when it's absent. That's freedom. Real freedom. Not having whatever you want, but being okay without whatever you don't have. Habit 5. Amor fati. The final habit is perhaps the most powerful. Amor fati. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This practice asks you to do something radical. Not just accept what happens, but embrace it as exactly what should have happened. Here's the daily habit. When something unwanted occurs, instead of resisting it with "this shouldn't have happened," say to yourself, "This is exactly what needed to happen for my growth." Lost the job? This is redirecting me towards something better aligned with my purpose. Relationship ended? This is revealing what I need to learn about myself. Project failed? This is teaching me what success actually requires. This isn't delusional positive thinking. It's a profound reframe based on Stoic physics. The Stoics believed the universe operates according to rational principles. Everything that happens is part of a larger order, even when we can't see the pattern. Whether you believe that cosmically doesn't matter. What matters is the psychological impact of this practice. When you resist reality, you suffer. When you accept reality, suffering decreases. When you embrace reality as necessary and potentially beneficial, suffering transforms into growth. I practice this immediately when disappointments hit. My first thought used to be, "This is terrible, this shouldn't have happened." Now it's, "This happened. What is this trying to teach me?" That single shift from resistance to curiosity changes everything. Last year, a major project I'd invested months in collapsed spectacularly. Old me would have spent weeks in resentment. Instead, I practiced amor fati. This collapsed. What opportunity is this creating? Within 2 weeks, I saw it clearly. The collapse freed me to pursue something far more aligned with my actual goals. The emotionally untouchable person isn't untouched by events. They're untouchable because they've learned to find value in everything that happens. Nothing is wasted. Every difficulty is raw material for wisdom. Nietzsche's deeply influenced by the Stoics said it perfectly. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. That's not passivity. That's the ultimate strength. Playing the hand you're dealt with, complete commitment. Knowing that this hand, whatever it is is exactly the one you needed. Integration. Here's how these 5 habits work together to create emotional untouchability. Morning premeditation prepares you for challenges before they arrive. Throughout the day, the dichotomy of control focuses your energy only on what you can influence. Voluntary discomfort proves you can handle more than you think. Amarfati transforms obstacles into opportunities, and evening retrospection completes the cycle, extracting wisdom from everything that happened. Together they create a fortress. Not a fortress that keeps life out, but one that remains standing regardless of what life throws at it. I am practicing all 5 now. Some days I'm better at them than others, but even imperfect practice has transformed how I move through difficulty. The panic that used to accompany setbacks has largely disappeared. Not because setbacks stopped happening, but because I've built infrastructure that processes them effectively. This is what the Stoics meant by being emotionally untouchable. Not unfeeling, not cold, just unshaken by circumstances because you've grounded yourself in practices that no circumstance can disturb. The ancient Stoics developed these habits because they lived in uncertain, often brutal times. Plague, war, political intrigue, exile, loss. Yet they remained remarkably steady, not through luck or personality, but through daily practice. You face different challenges, but the practices that kept them centered work just as well today. Start with one habit, master it, add another, build slowly. This isn't a weekend project, it's a lifetime practice. But even small, consistent practice creates noticeable change. After 30 days of morning premeditation, you'll see situations differently. After 60 days of dichotomy of control practice, you'll waste less energy on things you can't change. After 90 days of all 5 habits, people will notice something different about you. A steadiness, a groundedness. So here's my question. Which of these 5 habits will you start with tomorrow? Drop a comment and let me know. If this resonated with you, subscribe to Stoic Forge. Every video here helps you build unshakable inner strength through the wisdom of the ancient Stoics applied to modern life. Hit the like button, share this with someone who needs these practices, and remember, emotional untouchability isn't about avoiding feelings. It's about building a foundation that remains solid regardless of what you feel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.